You know, the one-arm handstand is hard. Today we're gonna look at why people might stop the one-arm handstand journey.
I used to spend a good amount of time training the one-arm handstand. It was a major part of my life, and I trained it on a daily basis. However, that all stopped a few years ago. Now, today I'm going to share 4 things that I learned from my one-arm handstand training and how this can help you to approach attaining any skill in a healthy manner. Now, first off, I'd like to say that I think handstands are super cool. We like them so much that you'll find the handstand in our apprenticeship course, and we even have a... So I'm not here to say that I think that handstands are bad.
I think on the topic of training it every day, it's okay to have like 5 to 6 sessions per week, and it's okay to have one day off if you're training for the one-arm handstand, but you should aim for 3 sessions per week at least if you have a bad week, and I think like 5 to 6 times is much better.
So why did I stop training the one-arm handstand? Now, I had a great coach, and I'm very thankful for his guidance in helping me to get the one-arm handstand. However, during the middle of my training to get the one-arm handstand, 4 things hit me, and it caused me to reflect on why and how I was training to get this monster of a skill. This isn't something I've shared publicly, but I think that it will help you whether you're pursuing the one-arm handstand or any other skill for that matter as a hobbyist. Now, if you're a professional and getting paid to be able to do a particular skill set, then that changes things. But if you're a hobbyist just looking to learn some new skills and improve yourself, well, these 4 things are going to help you out. First off is
Yeah, it's interesting. So when you really learn the one-arm handstand, you can see this hand position right here. It's lower than usual. Normally you see, when you see a professional hand balancer, their hand is more in this kind of area, but here it's a first start and it's easier to balance.
skill, commitment. When I was training the one-arm handstand, it was twice daily, no exception. And if you're a professional and want to be great at what you do, then yeah, spending as much time on your craft as possible makes sense, right? That's what...
True, but I think there are periods where you train like 2 or 3 times a day, but it's not for long. So you have like more intense things, like for example on the weekend or on the holidays, but you can't maintain it in your normal life to train 2 hours per day. I think it's too much. It's good for a short period of time, but in the long run, it's not possible to maintain 2 hours a day. So you don't have to train 2 times per day. Yeah.
You've got to do prep work, mobility, line work, handstand drills, supplementary work every day, AM and PM. That was what I was doing. Now, going into my training...
I think it's a little too much. It's also important not to burn out, and it's much easier for the mind if you just also do 1 session, 30 minutes, 1 hour, it's enough.
I was told of the time commitment I needed to set aside each day. I agreed and planned out my week and scheduled my work and family time. I'm the kind of person who can put my chin down, get in there and grind it out. Now, I thought everything was cool until a couple months in, and I'll get to that soon. The important thing here is that you understand what time commitment you can commit to. Your coach might want you to put in 5 hours a day of training, but if that isn't something that you can commit to, that's fine. This is about you, not what someone else expects and demands you to do. Find a way of training that matches your time commitment and go from there. Might take you longer to achieve your goal, but it'll keep you from making the next mistake that I made. This stuff is consuming me. Now, halfway through my journey to get the one-arm handstand, I realized I didn't like the person I was becoming. Even though I had a schedule, I found myself pushing my kids away just to make sure that I could get in all the daily reps I had to complete. I was training at home, and my kids would want to come into the room to see what I was doing. They'd run around me when I was upside down, wanting to play, and basically just doing what kids do. And I remember getting upset and yelling at them to go in the other room because I had to get in my one-arm handstand practice. And that was the day I realized just how much this was consuming me.
There are like 2 layers of movement. The first movement pattern is, don't forget that you are a human being. Then the second layer is you have to move. And then it's a specialization. And you have to be careful when you train like the very specialized one-arm handstand. Don't let it inflict on the first 2 layers. So second layer, make sure you're healthy. Third layer, make sure you're a decent human, like respect your kids and be a good father. And I think 1.5 hours for a dad, it's a better schedule than training twice a day. And I think 1.5 hours, one focus session is much better than 2 sessions and 5 hours a day.
Choosing the one-arm handstand over my kids. Well, that wasn't cool. So a couple things here. First off, being able to set aside time along with having a place where you can do what you want to do without being interrupted is great. But whatever hobby you're doing, do it because you
Sorry, my cat
time
walked across the laptop.
Place where you can do what you want to do without being interrupted is great. But there's going to be times when that's just not always the case. Something's going to happen, it's going to come up, and rather than getting angry, make adjustments. You might not have been able to do everything you wanted to do in that session. However, appreciate what you were able to do, then figure out a way for you to have privacy for your next session,
And it's also important sometimes to just end on a note in your head. So for example, oh, the top leg in the one-arm handstand today felt like this and that. And so next time you start again, but with this technical note in your head. And so you build chains from your notes in your head.
Leads into the next point. The pressure to get it. If I had a bad practice that day or didn't nail a particular thing I was working on that day, I would become frustrated and carried it around with me. That frustration would leak into my daily life, and now this is where everything changed for me. I remember today when I was having trouble with my right wrist and nothing was working. Instead of getting upset, I just asked myself, okay, what did I learn today? And I ended up laughing because I realized that reframe of what did I learn that day would mean I would never have a bad session again. And this is something that I've heard before and I've said to other people, but here I was, a person not taking my own advice. So rather than getting frustrated for not being able to do something at the end of our session, if we can instead ask ourselves, what did I learn today? That's going to help for tomorrow. And that way we'll always have a great session. And this is a huge, huge game changer. The reason is that now we've shifted the focus from a physical outcome, which we can't always control, to a mental outcome.
Just a little note here. I think a little bit side bend here. So you want to have the hips a little bit more diagonal here. It would be a little better.
From a physical outcome, which we can't always control, to a mental outcome. And that is something that we can always have control over. Now, the mental aspect of training the handstand is a key point. This is something that we cover in our article, How to Do a Handstand, 9 detailed lessons covering prep, progressions, and training plans. Be sure to check out that link. That's in the description. The fourth and final point is to not take things too seriously. Now, thanks to that reframe, I ended up getting the one-arm handstand, but something else happened once I actually got it, and I realized that I was too serious with it, and it stopped being something I enjoyed, and instead became something I forced myself to endure because I didn't want to lose it. I think
it's a good contrast to also on the one side, you want to have the drill and your endurance work and everything for a period of time to really progress. But on the other hand, you also want to be artistic and playful with it. So you have both components and they should be in good balance. So sometimes I'm like really pushing hard now with the endurance and I want to do 3 minutes this and da. But sometimes I just remind myself, to also have fun and enjoy the process. I think it's really important.
About how many times that you've done something where you realize that the joy just isn't there anymore. Now, I'm talking about those hobbies and the skills that you really enjoyed in the beginning, but slowly over time you found yourself just going through the motion, and it's because you felt like you had to continue to do it. That's really what happened with my one-arm handstand. So in order to enjoy it again, I stepped away from training it. Now, every blue moon, I do try it here and there. Can I do it like I was able to do it back then? Nope. But the thing is I do it now because I enjoy it. And if this is your hobby, you can do it any way you want to. That's okay. Whether it be the handstand, running, lifting weights, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, whatever hobby you're doing, do it because you enjoy it. And if you find yourself not enjoying it, then ask yourself why. Then figure out how you can make it enjoyable again. So to recap, make your time commitment match your lifestyle. Don't let the skill consume you. Train it in a way that's good for you. Don't get frustrated. Instead, ask yourself, what did I learn today? And finally, don't take that skill or yourself too seriously. You started doing this for the enjoyment of it. Keep it that way. All right, be sure to check out our handstand article.
Yeah, I think it's a good video, and hopefully you also like the notes that I added to it. And yeah, enjoy your one-arm handstand journey.